Hello everyone, my name is Simone, and today I just randomly decided that I was going to make a video, and um, I wanted to make a video about, you know, depression and self-harm because I've been feeling like I'm in a really dark place the past couple of days. And I feel like the problem with a lot of people that do have any type of mental health problem is that we feel that we can't talk about it and that people are just going to think that we're either being dramatic, we're seeking attention, or that we're complaining. But I think that it would be best if we talk about these things because some people end up committing suicide or, end up hurting themselves or hurting others because they're going through something and they feel like they can't talk about it. And I guess to start with, I was diagnosed with depression when I was in high school. I am a cutter. I say I am a cutter because I still have issues with it. I still have issues with self harm. I still have problems with, you know, controlling my emotions, expression, expression, certain emotions that I have. And I think that as I've gotten older, that I wouldn't say I've gotten better with it, I've just gotten better at hiding it because a lot of times I personally feel like I can't talk about what I'm going through, what I'm thinking, or how I'm feeling. So a lot of times I don't say anything, which gets me in trouble later down the line because when you keep not saying anything, you keep letting it build and build and build, and one day you blow up on people and they're wondering what's going on and why you didn't say anything, or why are you bringing this up now when it happened a couple of years ago or a couple of months ago. I think that everybody needs to learn how to express ourselves and not be scared of expressing ourselves and letting people know that we're not okay. It's okay to not be okay. Your feelings, whether they be negative or positive, are relevant and they are important because they are part of you. And I think that a lot of people need to know that. There's some people out in the world that seem to think that you should only bring it up in conversation when you're happy or, it's exciting. You have people that want to call you negative Nancy's. You're always so sad. You're always so negative. You're always so depressing. You're always, killing my vibe. You ever ask that person what's going on? Do you ever ask that person, is everything okay? Are you okay? A lot of people don't. A lot of people just assume that that's just how you are. They don't really check to see how you're feeling, which is something that bothers me. We don't check on each other. We don't ask, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Is everything okay? How are you feeling today? It's the little things that make you feel better or put a smile on your face. I was having a real shitty day yesterday when I was at work, and this one lady cheered me up because she told me that I needed to smile more because I'm really beautiful, and she hopes that I have a better day because she could tell that I was stressed out and I was very unhappy, and I was momentarily debating on quitting my job, which happens several times a week, it seems. And, I laugh about things now because when you're in that moment and you're in that situation, it can be very tough. It can be very tough to be comfortable with yourself when you live in a society that tells you that you shouldn't talk about that. That's a no-no. You shouldn't bring that up. You know, you don't want people to think you're crazy. You don't want people to make fun of you. But it shouldn't be like that. I can sit here and say that I have depression, I have anxiety, I believe I personally have a borderline personality disorder that I struggle with. Every day is a struggle. To anybody that has any form of mental illness, whether it be schizophrenia, depression, bipolar, personality disorders, things that we don't even know exist, that people have going on in their heads that we don't know about. Every day is a struggle for us. Every day is a struggle. Everything is a struggle. Everything hurts. Getting out of bed, it hurts. Getting out of bed and trying to have the energy to go outside, to have the energy to be okay, to have the energy to just talk to people, spend time with people. Even spending time with people you love can suck the life out of you. And sometimes it can be the opposite. We constantly want to be with other people. We constantly want to be where the action is. We constantly need to be the center of attention, not because we just love being the center of attention. It's just the way that our mind is set up. There are some people that are narcissistic, and there are some people that like to be around others because they're scared of themselves. They don't like being alone. Me, I personally have separation anxiety. I don't like it when people leave me. I feel like I'm being abandoned, and then I have a really bad anxiety attack. I have, panic attacks when I think somebody is mad at me. I have panic attacks when I think that somebody doesn't like me. As I've gotten older, it's felt like my anxiety has gotten worse. When you're younger and you're in school, you're forced to make friends, you're forced to go to school, you're forced to communicate, you're forced to participate. But when you get out of school, you kind of have to force yourself to do it. Some people don't go to college, some people do. And it's very different than going to high school. It's very different than, being in a structured school system. When you're in college, it's a lot of you fend for yourself. You're an adult now. You should know how to do this. You should know how to do that. You should be able to do this. And a lot of times that can throw some people off that haven't experienced certain things. And I'm in college now, and my thing is that my anxiety sometimes stops me from talking. It stops me from communicating. It stops me from answering questions that I know the answer to, but I don't want to look stupid in case the answer is wrong because I second guess myself. Like, these are the things that I still go through. So I personally know that it's a struggle to get through a day and have some type of mental illness, especially if you're not on medication. There are some people that are able to function on medication. There are some people that do not like taking medication. And there are some people that have natural remedies, or they try to deal with things themselves instead of taking the medication. I know for me, and I'm not telling any of you guys to stop taking your pills. I'm just going to put that out there. But for me, I don't like taking medication because I feel like I'm empty. I feel like an empty shell when it comes to taking pills to control my emotions or taking any type of medicine to deal with my problems. It feels like I am comatose. It feels like I'm having an outer body experience. Like I just feel empty, and I feel like I can't feel anything at all, and that is not what I want. So I know that, not taking medication or not going to therapy or not, having some way to talk about what I'm going through makes things a little bit more difficult. You know, when I'm having an episode, it's not like I can run to the bathroom, pop a pill, and feel better. It's not like I can pop a Xanax and be like, oh, I feel better. You know, it would be nice. I'm sure that people that do take it don't necessarily want to be taking it. It's just the way it is for them. But for me, personally, it feels like I feel personally that I should learn skills to deal with what I'm going through. Because right now, as it stands, I do not have health insurance. I am not eligible for Obamacare or any of that because I do not make enough money to pay for it currently, which is why I'm in college now, trying to get that degree to get a better job. But right now, for situations like this, is why I don't like taking medication, because I feel like at some point in everybody's life, or at some point, period, you might not be able to afford your medication, or you might not be able to get it or get to it, and you might have to do without. And I want to learn how to do without and how to function without, whether it be, me listening to music, doing yoga, meditating, talking to friends, picking up a hobby, getting a dog, some type of pet. I feel like I need to learn how to cope with it for situations that I'm in now where I can't afford to go see a therapist. I can't afford to get the medication that I need to get me through the day. And also, I wanted to talk about self-harm. Along with my journey of going through depression and going through self-harm and going through anxiety, my self-harm has evolved and gotten worse. Right now, I haven't cut in or done anything to myself in about 2 years. And even then, I still have moments where I just want to put out there that self-harm doesn't necessarily just mean cutting. It can mean burning yourself. It can mean injecting yourself with drugs. It can mean anything that puts yourself in danger when you knowingly put yourself in danger so that you can either get an adrenaline rush or you can feel something, because I have felt numb. I have felt everything. I have felt, empty. I understand that when you're numb or when you're feeling inhuman is what I used to call it. I used to say when I was in middle school that I felt like an alien, that I didn't feel human. You cut so that you can feel something, or you burn so you can feel something. And some people do it to just have the endorphins, to have those chemicals that are released to make you feel like you're high. You can get that from self-harm. And there are some people that do cut to commit suicide, to cut their veins open. There's various reasons for why people cut. And there's various forms of self-harm. And my form the route that I chose was that I would cut myself or burn myself. Now, it necessarily wasn't just razors. A lot of people think that people cut themselves with razors because that's what was trending and the little pictures that were on MySpace and whatnot, you know, people cut themselves with a lot of things. I know that I used to break glasses and cups and use glass to cut myself because it was sharper, or X-Acto knives, kitchen knives. The worst episode I had where I bled a lot and I cut myself very deeply, I had used the lid of a can, because you can cut yourself on those too. Like, everything that your mother told you that you could cut yourself with is basically what I used to cut myself with. And a lot of people like to make the joke of where if you're gonna cut, at least cut in the right direction, which is up and down. And that is not a cute joke. That is not funny. A lot of people necessarily aren't cutting themselves to bleed or to kill themselves or to bleed out. A lot of people are cutting because that's how they cope with whatever they're going through at that moment. And it is not funny to make fun of something like that. I have seen many of posts, many of statuses about people that have made comments about people that have scars, such as myself, that my scars are in the wrong direction. And that is not something that I take too well. Self-harm, whether you're doing whatever reason it's done, whatever direction the scars are on, it's not something to try to make a joke about. There are a lot of things to make a joke about that shouldn't have to do with your mental health or your health in general. There are too many other things to make a funny out of than somebody who's struggling to get through the day, or somebody who's struggling not to kill themselves, or somebody who's just trying to feel normal like everybody else. And with that being said, I started cutting in middle school. In middle school, I started noticing that I was being bullied a lot. I was getting made fun of every day. I didn't understand why. I was a new kid. People can be very harsh in middle school, and people can be very mean anywhere, because we live in a world where a lot of people just don't care, or a lot of people are afraid to care. A lot of people, some people get off on putting down other people, and they don't necessarily think about the consequences of what they're doing. And the consequence of me being bullied was me feeling like I was worthless. I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I was an only child. I am an only child. It was hard for me to make friends because I felt like I was different. Also, being a person of color, it felt like I could not talk about my emotions and how sad I was, because in that community, people of color, I'm not just talking about, black people, I'm talking about everybody that has some type of color. Sometimes some cultures do not talk about mental health. They do not talk about how to deal with it. They do not talk about, going to therapy, going to the doctor, taking medication. They don't really get into depth about that, which I think is a mistake. And, when you're in a situation like I was in school, you feel like you can't talk about it with anybody. So you kind of internalize things and deal with it that way. And I think that was what my problem was. I internalized a lot of it. And it was eating away at me, and one day I just started hurting myself. It wasn't necessarily that I saw somebody else doing it. I didn't know that it was a thing. And I hate to say that it was a thing because some people think that cutting is like something that's trendy or something that people just do just to be doing, and that's not necessarily the case for some people, but I will say for others, a small percentage might do it just to do it, or might make a comment about it in a joking way. And again, that is not something to really joke about, especially with somebody that actually does it. And with that being said, in middle school, I didn't really see anybody do it. I didn't never heard the term for it. I just one day I was digging my nails into myself to the point where I was making myself bleed. I would scratch myself with my fingernails until I bleed, and then it escalated into me getting sharp objects and cutting myself. And then from the sharp objects, which was at that point like a pair of scissors or a kitchen knife, I had escalated to stealing cups out of the kitchen and breaking them. And then I had escalated to, X-Acto knives, art supplies, peelers, putting out cigarettes on myself, different things like that. And after that, I started taking pills. I was taking large sum of pills to either make myself not feel something or to make myself go to sleep, which is basically the same thing because you don't really feel anything when you're sleeping. And, mixed in there along the years have been, suicide attempts where I did make an attempt on my life to end it all. And I'm thankful that I'm still here, but I'm not gonna lie to you. There are still moments where I don't want to wake up and I don't want to get out of bed, and there are some days where in my mind, I'm really thinking about taking my own life. And I am 25 now. I turned 25 on October 9th. Last year, on my 24th birthday, I made a pact that I was not going to allow myself to live past my 25th birthday if that year did not improve, if my life did not get better. I had made a pact that I was going to end it any type of way, any way I could, I was going to end it. And, a year passed and I'm still here. Things have not gotten 100% better, but they're looking up a little bit. And to anybody that is struggling or anybody that has thought about taking their life, just to reach out to somebody. There are hotlines, there are support groups. There are so many resources out there for you. And even if you want to talk to me, that's fine with me too. My inbox is always open. I'm always here to listen. But suicide should not be your solution. When you commit suicide, all you're going to do is pass that pain that you're feeling right now to the next person, whether that be a spouse, a child, a family member, a loved one, your parents, your friends. You will pass it to them. You will pass that pain to them, and they will have to live with it because of the choice that you made. And I know that sometimes when you get to that point where you feel that suicide is your last resort, you feel like there's nothing else holding you here, but there's so much. When you wake up in the morning and you feel your pulse, or when you wake up in the morning and you feel your chest filling with air, you inhale, you exhale, you're seeing everything. You have a purpose. You're not put here for nothing. And you shouldn't let anybody tell you any different. And that means not letting yourself tell you that either. I know the struggle is real. I know that a lot of times when we get to that dark place of wanting to take our life, that might, that is like rock bottom for us. But I'm just telling you that it will get better.